Welterweight bout between Carlston Harris and Jared Gooden, the late addition to the card. No odds are out right now. Carlston Harris was originally set to face Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov pulls out with the illness. In steps Jared Gooden on, what was this, 3 or 4 days notice. So he's going to be coming in here without a lot of preparation. Carlston Harris gets the fight, though, and we don't lose a fight on this card. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, no, I wish Jared Gooden had more time to prepare because I just don't see him. I mean, 3 or 4 days for anybody's not a lot of time to prepare, but for Jared Gooden, a guy who I don't want to say he gasses, but I mean, he is full of muscle. You look at him, dude, the dude is shredded. And sometimes those guys, aren't throwing strikes with as much heat as the fight goes on. So you look at Carlston Harris, man, he's looked really good up until he got fed to Shavkat Rakhmonov. But even in that fight, up until the TKO, he was able to hit Shavkat. He wasn't, winning the fight by any means, but he didn't look terrible up until the sequence where he started to get kind of get touched up a little bit. But the fight that I watched earlier against Jared Gooden and Abubakar, I'm just gonna say Nurmagomedov. I can never say Abubakar. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try it. Up until in that fight, Nurmagomedov was piecing him up, and the storyline in that fight was kind of grappler versus striker, and Gooden just seemed a little bit slower. He couldn't make his reads, and Nurmagomedov, I mean, he looked like a phenomenal striker when he normally doesn't. So yeah, Jared Gooden, not having a camp to come in here against Harris, I just don't see him being able to pull it off. And Harris is a well-rounded fighter too. I mean, he's got 5 submission wins. I believe he's got 5 knockout wins as well, and a couple of decisions. So he can get it done by any means necessary. And if he has to rely on that grappling and wrestling, he's got that in his back pocket too. He likes to get in, get his hands locked, and he can kind of drag guys down to the ground. And he's pretty slick on the ground too. So overall, man, I'm interested to see what this line is. If it's anywhere close, I'm going to hammer Carlston Harris.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same route there. He's 35 years old, came into the UFC in 2021. So this is only his 4th fight in the UFC. But when he was not in the UFC, he was still fighting some solid guys. A couple of guys that are in the UFC now: Wellington Turman, Michel Pereira, who was supposed to fight in a couple weeks, but had Sean Brady had to pull out of that fight. And he's looked pretty good. I mean, he's 2-1, beaten both guys in the first round, and then lost to Shavkat. Tough draw there. Nobody has managed to beat Shavkat. For Jared Gooden, got released from the UFC about a year and a half ago. That was at the end of 2021. So yeah, about a year and a half ago. And then since then, in 2022, he fought 5 times. And since he's left, he's 4-1. His only losses to Impa Kasanganay, who used to be in the UFC as well. So they give him a nod here. He just fought less than a month ago, February 18th, and he won in the second round by a stomp. And I couldn't get any film on that fight, but I was interested to see what stomp meant. You look at the stats when they were in the UFC, or at least when Jared Gooden was in the UFC, the guy gets hit like a lot. He absorbs 7.59 significant strikes per minute, and he lands 5.16. So he's going to go in there and try to hit you. He's just going to stand there and trade with you. Carlston Harris, a really good strike differential, considering he's even fought Shavkat. 4.03 landed per minute. He only absorbs 2.07. So right there off the bat, I like that. He's doubling up guys, and he can take it to the ground as well with the submission threat there. So I think Carlston Harris is, considering the circumstances of Jared Gooden coming in here on short notice, he's probably going to be minus 300, somewhere around there, probably even more. But if he's anywhere less than that, like you gotta have him in your lineup this week. I think he's just the better all around fighter. Jared Gooden's 29 years old and he's had 30 MMA fights. So I mean, he'll take a fight, even if he doesn't care about his record. Really, he's just gonna take a fight, and he's getting his foot back into the UFC in this one. That short of notice, not gonna find many people backing a guy. So yeah, I'll take Carlston Harris for the pick, and we'll keep an eye on it as the week goes on as far as what the price is, and if there's any props that look juicy. Maybe a submission, if it does hit the ground, but a knockout is definitely there. Jared Gooden's been knocked out twice, but we both know that Carlston Harris can do it on the ground or on the feet.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing with Jared Gooden is he always gives himself a chance because he does swing hard, and I mean, he's a powerful guy. You just look at him and he's strong, and he kind of reminds me of like a Bobby Green, like a bigger Bobby Green. The way he has his hands down and he's trying to, with the head movement. But he does get clipped with that style a lot. And Harris is pretty tough too. I know that he got knocked out by Shavkat, but that kick would have put most people out. I mean, he wrapped it right around the back of his ear, and it took Shavkat a few more shots on the ground to put him out. But I mean, we've seen Harris get clipped too, and he just never stops coming. He knows when to clinch, he knows when to get the fight up against the cage, and he knows when to stand and trade in space too. So yeah, with Jared Gooden, man, short notice. I think either way you look at it, I think Carlston Harris is either a good money line play if it's close enough, and if it's not, he's a perfect parlay piece to cap off the night, start off the night.
Yeah, absolutely.